Vicky.
Hi Will.
Lovely to have you here today. We're going to be talking a bit about developing really deep client relationships and how we can support our clients achieve their goals and objectives. Really looking forward to hearing your insights. Before we get into it, to set the scene, because you and I have talked before and you've talked about some of the drivers for you setting up your firm. So perhaps if you want to share a little bit on that for us in terms of your journey.
Yeah, I've previously worked for kind of big firms for most of my finance career, and did fall out of love with the industry, and it didn't work for me anymore. Left and realised that if we put the person back at the centre, that's how I work. I've always wanted to focus on people, not just on processes and numbers, but it's what do those numbers mean? How can you help?
Yes.
And setting up the firm that focused, built around that kind of premise, meant that it fitted me and it fitted my personality, fitted my ethos, and I was able to kind of bring clients in that want to work in that manner as well.
Yes, yeah, and you've grown, so you've grown very, very quickly. So you've obviously got this right. What you're doing is resonating with the clients that you're working with. And we had a previous conversation and we talked a bit about how you manage a growing accounting firm. We talked about people, process and technology and how we blend those things to deliver these great client experiences. We're going to take this discussion on a bit further from that, and I'll go back to the point that you made around we're going to a point where we're putting clients back at the centre and as our key focus, which is really interesting because we're in a service-based business, and being in service-based business, we should always be focused on the client, shouldn't we? So lots of things have got in the way a little bit that meant that our focus drifted away from having great relationships to kind of compliance and making sure that, in my words, we keep clients out of jail. But we've got to make that shift back, and technology's helped enable us to do that. What do you think are some of the changes that you've seen, and certainly from your own experiences setting up a firm, having almost made the decision that you were done with accounting because of the way that you'd been working with clients for the years before that in other firms?
I think one thing that really has changed is the questions that we're asking clients. It's not just how many bank transactions do you do a month? It's where do you want your business to be going? What's your aim? Where's your end point? Do you dream of having a multi-million-pound business? Is that what we're working towards? And once you start delving into the clients, kind of what's behind it, you can understand them better, and you can provide that extra support. So that you're not just the person that they send information to and you email over a report back saying, here's your figures for the month. It's here's your figures for the month, let's have a call and discuss them, see what we can change, what happened, how are you feeling. I've got a couple of clients that when we have our kind of regular chats, if they come on, I'm like, okay, what's wrong? Because we've built that relationship, you can tell instantly that there's something going on. Now, it might be personal life, it might be business, but having them knowing that they can come and kind of chat about any worries or things, they don't just need to say, oh, the bank balance is looking a bit low. They can say, sales have dropped, I'm not quite sure what to do, any ideas? And you can build up just extra value to them. And it's not all about your profit for the accountants. It's getting that real valued relationship.
And we'll drill into some of the details around that, about how we can do that more effectively, and the services that we should be delivering today to enable us to have those relationships. But in terms of that conversation, that point you made about the fact that we're putting clients back at the heart, I wholeheartedly agree. And in my book, I talked about a cycle that I think we've gone through. And accountants and bookkeepers 25 years ago had great relationships, and I refer to it as we got invites to the birthdays, the weddings, the funerals, and all of those kind of things. Compliance came along and got in the way and shifted our focus, and then technology surfaced that let us start to win back some of that time with the ability to rebuild those relationships. And I think we've gone full circle. So when I talk about the human firm now, we're back to where we started, which in my book was relationship accounting. The beauty, though, is that we're in a better place now than we were 25 years ago, because we now have insight. We now have data that means the conversations, the relationships that we had 25 years ago are powered now by insight and knowledge and information. So we can add so much more to the relationships. So we have to capitalize on these opportunities. And we're going to talk about kind of some of the ways that we do that. So you and I have talked about bookkeeping and what the technology does in terms of the data that it gives us to enable us to think about the insights that we deliver. So how do we build those services? But you touched on some of the questions around when do you want to retire and all this kind of thing. I talk about the fact that we've got to go from what as accountants we know as KYC, know your client, and we've got to shift that to really know your client. So at the point that we take on new clients, we ask those questions. We can build the services to enable us to do that. How do you do that in your firm? How do you kind of have those conversations so you get to understand those objectives that your clients have?
A lot of it has been not being afraid to ask those questions. There has been a bit of an attitude of that's none of our business. Why would we need to know that? Why should we be asking?
We just need to file a tax return.
It is that shift from compliance to compliance and support. So it naturally forms into our kind of general conversation at the start. I think one thing touched on previously, we use Go Proposal. One of the questions that asks when you're building your proposal is, where do you want to be in 3 or 5 years? So it makes sure that you've got that prompt. So I know that the team, if they're onboarding somebody, they know that question is there as well. It's not just me knowing kind of what to ask the clients. But I think if you start building that in right at that very first moment of contact, it forms that relationship. It sets the scene of what this is going to be like going forward. And it makes all future discussions much easier. The first time you say to a client, okay, where do you want to be in 3 years? They kind of sit a bit shell-shocked and, I don't know, still in business. And then when you start asking those questions regularly, you can see, has there been a shift? Is there something going on? You get some people who have major life events that mean that actually they now need to grow the business quickly. So how do we support that? Do we have the system in place if they have a rapid growth? Can we still offer the same level of service? And it's having confidence that we can do whatever the client needs us to do.
And when we talk about having those regular conversations, I talk a lot about client experience and measuring client experience, and the definitions that I use when I talk about client experience is the sum total of every touch point you have with a client from first contact to last contact. Now the accountant in me sees the word sum, which basically says, well, the more there are, the greater the sum, so let's find ways to have lots of contact. Now clearly we have to make sure that it's not contact for contact's sake. There's got to be some value in it. So for me, it's about what services can we build? How can we build services that mean we have a reason to have those regular touch points? And I'm a huge advocate of doing daily bookkeeping, and you and I have talked about that. And we get this data, we get bank feed data, we get data from auto entry. If we train our clients effectively, they're sending us receipts every day. So it's almost criminal for us to not do something with that data. If we can't leave it for a month end, we can't leave it for a quarterly VAT return. So in doing that, we're creating those opportunities, aren't we, for that regular contact? How are you using that in your firm?
So we kind of generally, the kind of initial contact is always where are the receipts? You can tell that the relationship is building and the client is learning when those ones that you're chasing are less and less and less.
Absolutely.
And we still use that, there's a temptation if you've got a week where the client hasn't got any receipts that you need to chase, temptation to not contact them.
Well, obviously they haven't got any.
But we send a very quick email like, great job, thanks for sending everything this week, that's fantastic, it's a really big help. So you're kind of, praising the client, letting them know that you appreciate that they are doing what you really need them to do, so that we can provide what they need us to provide. So that they get that it is a two-way street. It's not just that they upload information and they never hear that it's been helped.
And one of the things that I talk about is most clients don't know what they need. My personal view is, as professional accountants, we have an obligation, and that obligation is to help clients understand why they need the stuff they don't know they need. So it's almost when we start to talk about reporting and management accounts and all of these kind of things, most clients would say, "Oh, I don't need that." So we have to educate them in terms of, well, actually, you've told us this is your objective, and if we want to help you get to your objective, then we need to be able to track it. So how are you kind of delivering these added value insights to your clients in your firm?
One, we kind of quite often, when we've got clients that have been almost resistant to kind of future planning, it's showing them what it can look like.
Yeah.
So we use Futurely for kind of forecasting and kind of more advanced reporting, and with that, it's very easy for me just to get a report set up, show the client what it can look like, and then say, okay, give me a scenario.
Yeah.
What are you considering doing? Let's build that in. And you can very quickly then give them a report, say, okay, this is what your business would look like if you do this.
Yes.
And once they see what kind of information and insights they can get, it's very rare for them then to turn around and say, yeah, no, I don't want that.
Yeah.
So kind of demonstrating that value that they can get,
it's demonstrating a need, isn't it? It's that point that you're showing the clients, this is why you need this stuff. You didn't know you needed it until we show you. But of course, the key to that working for you is you've got the data, and you've taken the data and you've turned it into information that's valuable. And step one, if we want to deliver these insights, is we've got to be doing the bookkeeping, haven't we?
Yeah.
And this is a great opportunity, I think, for accountants. And for a long time, many accountants will say we don't want to do the bookkeeping because we'll never make any money from it. Technology's changed that whole dynamic, hasn't it? And actually, it's the most important part. If we get that right, everything else kind of naturally follows, doesn't it?
Yeah, it makes everything easier when that information's up to date. Clients don't just turn up at the month end and say, I need figures. You get ones that come in mid-month, suddenly saying, oh, we've got a chance for funding.
Yeah.
Can you pull off all this information? If you're behind in the bookkeeping,
yes,
you're saying, I can get that report to you in a week.
Yeah.
It's like the client needs it now.
Yes.
So having that system set up, the automation, that getting the key figures, right and accurate and up to date, means that the client asks you that question, you go, yeah, sure, we'll get that to you, as soon as possible, and as soon as possible is very quick.
Yes. Yeah.
And again, that builds that relationship. It builds that the client trusts that if they need something from you, you can then give them your accurate, detailed information.
Yes.
Without almost too much time or too much effort on their part.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to ask for figures, and then if you go, okay, can you send me the last 6 weeks of receipts?
Yeah.
That's a hassle for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you noticed a change in expectations of clients from when you were in practice before and running your own firm now? I mean, certainly from what I see, we're seeing younger business owners coming in, and there's much more clarity around the things they want to do and the things they don't want to do. And I think that creates a massive opportunity for us as accountants and bookkeepers. But what's your view on that?
Yeah, I think a lot of people now do get that they're great at running the business side of things, and that's what they want to be doing.
Yes.
They don't want to be worrying about sending bank statements
Yeah.
or all the fiddly stuff that goes on that actually supports the business quite significantly.
Yes.
And they're very clear that that's time that they don't want to be wasting, essentially.
Yeah.
Whereas they come to us, we can offer all these services, we can do it with technology. And
Very efficiently.
I think the kind of younger generation appreciate technology.
Yes.
They like how things link together.
Yeah.
When you start to describe, this will feed in, so auto entry will feed into the Sage Accounting.
Yeah.
That will feed into Futurely for our reporting. We've got a lovely flow.
Yes.
And it gives confidence.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we draw this conversation to a close, when we think about the deep relationships that you've been able to build with your clients by taking a client-centered human approach to the way you operate your business, how has your partnership with Sage kind of helped you deliver on that and deliver those deeper relationships for your clients?
I think it's having the confidence that the system can support us, no matter what we need.
Yep.
Like I said, no matter what happens with the client, how much they grow, we're not going to have to shift systems to support that.
Yep.
We've got everything in place in one place, and you've always got somebody at the end of a phone if you need that help. Which is, for us, it's essential. Just having that another team behind us. We're the team that sits behind the client. Sage are the team that sit behind us. And it really just builds our confidence that what we're pulling off is right and efficient.
Excellent. It's been an absolute pleasure, Vicky. I'm loving to hear the fact that you were very disillusioned with the profession. You've seen a new way of rekindling the fire in you for what is a great profession. We have a really valuable role to play for the small business community. Fascinating to hear your story, and look forward to following your continued growth over the coming months and years.
Well, thank you. It's been great chatting.
Thank you.